New lighting, who it is. Whatever. Fucking her best friend, you're a fucking douche. Yes. Yes, Lala. Ugh.
Can pull me from the dark.
Hi friends, today we're back to talk about Vanderpump Rules episode 12. This week's episode was called Beach Don't Kill My Vibe, and it was very much a shit show. Let's get into it. When Tom and Tom meet up at that food truck to talk, and literally it seems like the worst acting in the history of reality TV and history of fake acting. It was so obvious like what they're trying to do there. By this point we know that Schwartz already knows about Sandoval and Raquel, and he's just like, oh well, I just don't know what it is. I'm not feeling the attraction or the sexual tension. He's like, I feel like I get a feeling that she has a crush on someone. And then Sandoval's like, yeah, really? Like, it's just so scripted in that sense. Like, it's so fake. And then Sandoval also, again, laying the groundwork of like, oh, like Ariana is just, it's been so rough with her, and I'm trying so hard, and every morning I bring her lattes, just hopefully so she understands how much I love her. It's like, oh, so lattes every morning should make up for the fact that you're fucking her best friend behind her back for a lengthy period of time without actually being a man and coming out and saying like, hey, Ariana, I'm unhappy. Let's figure out how we can consciously uncouple, like Gwyneth Paltrow says, and just get this done and over with. But you're a fucking pussy, and you're trying, again, to have your cake and eat it too. And it's disgusting. Next moment is when Lala and James meet up to talk about how James wants to have a beach day the following day for everyone to hang out. And I like this scene because I like the dynamic between Lala and James. It's like slightly flirting, but like still just friends, still like brother and sister, if that makes any sense. But it's funny. They're a good team. I like the energy that they have. I like the back and forth. James says everybody's got an ego the size of my dick, and Lala's like, oh, so super small. She's like, hey, I came back twice, so I'm a returning customer. Like, it's funny. I mean, I don't know how Allie feels about like that banter back and forth, but they do make a good team. And so I just thought it was a really funny scene to have in there. Then we're at the beach, everyone shows up, and there's like a weird cringy moment with Rachel and Allie. Charlie comes in, and apparently like that's the first time that Charlie and Allie meet, and Rachel comes and sits down next to Allie. And first of all, there's like a flashback where Rachel's telling Sheena that James told her that Allie said that Rachel was Allie's favorite. It's like, in what world? Like, I don't know how that telephone game got so fucked up, but I highly doubt that that was said. And then you even have Allie in her interview saying, in my friends group, we don't really see exes. Like, you break up with someone and then you never see them again. But in this friends group, they're all exes. So it's like, it's weird. And she even tells Charlie at one point, she's just like, yeah, like, Raquel and I are cool. It's not like we're gonna be best friends or anything, but like, if she's chill, then we're chill. Rachel, like, thinks so highly of herself. It's like, calm down. Then at the beach, Charlie was asking them again about like their dynamic, and then Rachel's like, yeah, I see a lot of myself in you, and I know you're really happy in this relationship, but you're gonna learn your lessons in your own time. And it's like, bitch, like, who says that? Like, read the room, like, know your audience. Like, Ellie's not very happy with James, but they're happy. Let them figure it out. Like, you don't need to be like her fairy godmother and guiding her through the relationship. Like, no, I mean, it was just like very unnecessary. It's like, just keep your thoughts to yourself. Like, don't talk. And then of course we have James Kennedy throwing a beer or whatever, some kind of drink, in Schwartz's face, and let's give him a round of applause. Guys, like, James, I think he's killing it this season. Like, I really am a fan of him. His like mean moments are kind of not as much as like his funny, like, spot on moments. And he was on Watch What Happens Live, which I could do a video all on its own about his appearance, but he tells Andy that he actually poured out part of the drink, so though he didn't throw all of it in his face because he's a gentleman. Like, he's just finally he gave Schwartz a taste of his own medicine. Like, this guy has thrown drinks in girls' faces for years. He threw one in Stassi's face at her birthday party. He threw a drink in Katie's face when they're in Mexico. Like, this is this guy's go-to, and he finally came right back to him, and I loved it. Do I think that James overreacted in that moment with that comment? Yes. But I think it just makes sense that he obviously, even though he denies that he doesn't have any feelings for Rachel or that he's like over it, I know deep down inside there's still something there. And that's why it pissed him off so much. I can also see that a lot of that group kind of doesn't give the credit that's due to him, kind of belittles his DJing stuff. So to him, like, Cascade, like, yeah, that's a huge freaking DJ, and for him to be opening up for him at a festival, to go from a club setting to a huge festival, like, it is a big deal. So I can always see where James is coming from. Is he extra? Does he go above like what I would do or how I would react? Of course, but that's why he's such good television. You can't script things like that. And so I thought it was hilarious. And it's also funny that they like have these huge blowouts, but then, like, I mean, obviously with editing, right, we don't know the time difference, but it seems like 5-10 minutes later they're like shaking hands and like, oh, we're cool, bro, like, we're good. I don't know if that's a guy thing or what, but someone threw a drink in my face, like, I would have left. I would have like, I'm not fucking staying here, like, are you kidding me? So Lala and Katie and that group go off to a bar because they just want to like not be around all of those people. Like, obviously they're not vibing. And then Christina Kelly, they text her to tell her where they're at for her to go meet them, and then she brings everyone over. It's like, why? That was weird. I feel like that was kind of out of character for her. I don't know. That was just bizarre that she was like, oh yeah, let's all go. And so Schwartz, you know, and Sandoval all show up, and then it's frustrating that Schwartz is so mean to Katie, but he's the one that goes looking for her. He's the one that he's like, hi Katie, hi Satchel, from like across the room, and Katie's like, hi, like, I already said hi to you, like, leave me alone. And he's like, oh, you don't have to have that air about you, like, we're all hanging out, we're all trying to be cool. It's like, no, like, you do your thing, I will do my thing, we can be in the same area, in the same space, but like, why do you need to get my attention? Why do you need to like ruffle my feathers? Like, just leave me the fuck alone. And he's not understanding that, and then he gets mad that she's like putting him in his place, like setting boundaries, and he's like telling Sandoval, like, I'm so fucking happy that I'm not with her anymore, I don't miss her one bit. Like, you're such a douche. This season is totally showing Schwartz's true colors. Like, you're a fucking douche, and that is why you are not married anymore. It was just even weird too in his interview when he talks about like, oh, you know, Satchel and Katie in the bed with the dogs, and have sex all you want, but just don't involve the dogs. It's like, oh, so you care about the dogs more than you care about your wife, which is obviously him like not being completely truthful, like trying to be funny. But he's just, gosh, he's so unlikable. Like, he's not my favorite right now. It's like, oof, who out of Sandoval, Rachel, and Schwartz, like, who, if I can rank them, I don't even know if I can rank them right now. Like, they're all equally as bad. I mean, at every moment, they all kind of like pull ahead. It's just like, you guys deserve each other. But then Tom gets into it with Lala and calls her, what is it, a bootleg housewife, and look at your lips, and I don't want to know you, and like just rude shit. And she fucking reads his ass. She's like, talk to me when you have a business. Don't talk about my business that supports my daughter day in and day out. Like, what I've been through in the last year, you would be in the grave by now. Like, all of it. That was all true. That was all on point. That is why I like Lala. That is why I'm a Lala stan, because it's like, no, baby. You don't come for me and expect to not get it back. Especially when he has no leg to stand on. It's like, who are you? You're a loser. You have no money, you're broke, you haven't been able to open your restaurant, your wife left you. Check yourself before you come at me. And that was just, I loved that whole part. It's like, yes, Lala. And then it was funny how Lala was just like, what's in the air today? Like, it was crazy at the beach, it's crazy here. Because even Allie was like getting annoyed with James, because again, he like is super dramatic, and he gets 151 in his eye, even though the waitress and Allie say that it was just water. But, you know, he's like all dramatic, and he's like, why didn't you ask me, Allie, if I'm okay? And she's like, because I know you're not okay. Like, just sit down and shut up. But that's what he needs, like that, like someone to kind of like, you need to reel it in, James. You're a lot right now. Like, go take a little time out. Go chillax. this. And then, of course, you have Sandoval calling out Katie in the midst of trying to defend Rachel because Sheena asks Lala about Oliver again. And then it comes up the whole them dancing at the Abbey together by themselves. And Sandoval specifically says, like, oh, we, like, as in me and Rachel, like, we need to defend ourselves to you now. Kind of like a Freudian slip. And he's like, oh, you know, Ariana's not very happy with you right now, talking about the open relationship. Katie, she's like, oh, that's so profound, because he's like, you can't be with somebody for who you want them to be. You should be with them for who they are. And she's like, good for you, Sandoval. Like, you're so deep. But it's just like, he just has to defend Rachel. Like, that is his woman, and he will stand up for her. And gosh, it's so ass backwards, where it's like when Ariana called him when her grandma passed away, he was at a party somewhere in Orange County with Rachel, and he made an excuse that like he couldn't rush to her side because he couldn't find a Uber. But really, it's like he just wanted to spend more time with Rachel. So it's like, I keep saying it, you're gross, you're disgusting. Like, I can't even believe that like people like that exist. And he just lies, him and Rachel lying through their teeth. Like that interview moment when the producer specifically says, has anything ever happened between you and Rachel? And he's like, has this big smile on his face, like he can't even fake it himself, but he's like, and he looking off to the side at certain points, and he's just like, come on, like that would never happen. That would be like if something were to happen between me and Katie, it wouldn't, kind of a thing is what his story was. But he can't even pull it off. He's just a terrible actor, and he in just lying through his teeth and being so what's the word? Just dishonest, so slimy. It's mind-boggling. I mean, it's kind of scary too. The fact that he can adamantly, and then I believe even Rachel in the next episodes too, like adamantly deny what's actually happening and saying that it's totally not true. It's just like, whoa, like that's kind of, I mean, I'm not a good liar. Like I can't. Like lying is so hard. You have to really keep up with your story and make sure you don't miss things and say it the same way every time. Like, like the truth is so much easier. Like I just don't understand. I don't understand people like that. Oh, and before I forget, back towards the beginning of the episode when Sheena and Ellie meet up for lunch and Sheena's defending Rachel. It's like, girl, that did not age well. Like, oof, I bet you feel so stupid. That's pretty bad. I reposted a tweet that I saw that night and someone's like, I would need a restraining order too if this bitch made me look this stupid. Yeah, she rode so hard for Rachel. I mean, that's top tier friend right there. For her to say, Brock and Sandoval are like Rachel's big brothers. I would not only trust them dancing alone at the Abbey at 1 o'clock in the morning, I would trust them in the same bed together. Which, irony of that is that I guess Sandoval and Rachel were seen in a bed together, and we're like, people saw it and they're like, well, that's kind of weird, but everyone just played it off because they're like, well, I guess they're just such good friends and they're just really close and being in a bed together is normal. It's kind of confusing. It really seems now that producers and even Lisa knew that there was something weird going on, and maybe they didn't have like definite proof, but that's why they kind of were already laying out this storyline for the season, because it just seems so convenient. Like there's a lot of people online actually, they're like, this is bullshit. Like it's so obvious that this was known all along. Obviously behind the scenes people knew. People were saying that Ariana and Tom probably had already broken up, or they came to production and said, hey, we're breaking up, and then they all concocted this amazing scheme to revive the show, because obviously the last couple seasons prior to this were not very good. But I just find it hard to believe. I think it's a little bit of both. I think that a lot of people had questions, and production kind of had a feeling too. And Lisa, that was another tweet that I saw. Someone's like, I love Lisa. She knows everyone's secrets. That's why her hair's so big. Obviously from Mean Girls. Oh, such a good tweet. But yeah, like she probably kind of knew too. And I mean, long ago when it actually first broke out, people were saying that Lisa paid Rachel to like do all this shit. And I don't think she's that schemy. I'm sure other people like Kyle Richards and Teddy Mellencamp would disagree and would say like, oh, she like lay this all out. But I don't think so. I think it was just like a little bit of both. And fortunately for the production company and Bravo, like they lucked out where like this did all blow up. Unfortunately, Well, really not unfortunately for Ariana, because she's thriving. Dancing with the Stars, a Lifetime movie, a deal with Bloomingdale's. She's got a new man's, very hot. They're hooking up at Coachella. She like drove him and dropped him off at the airport. She's living. Like, this was literally the best thing that could have ever happened to her. And so yeah, I'm sure for a moment there, or a good moment there, like, it was very shocking and disappointing, and like, how could this have happened to me, and like, just obviously shitty, but in the grand scheme of things, she's dropping a fucking loser, and just her life's blowing up in the best possible way. And so yeah, I think she's definitely come out on top. So I mean, fabulous episode, so dramatic, so like boom boom boom. I can't wait for next week. We already saw the preview of Ken coming in and telling Katie about how Rachel spends the night at Sandoval's when Ariana's not there, and Lala's giving like the replay. I love the way they edit the show, like when they do things like that. That's really funny. So yeah, it's getting so good. It's so good. I don't know, guys, like, how are we going to make it? How by the time the reunion comes around, we're all going to be like, our nerves are going to be shot. I didn't have my glass of wine this week, but I will have it next week, and definitely while I'm watching the show, and then hopefully here too, just because it's intense, but in all good ways, and I'm here for it. Like, Vanderpump Rules, it's my shit right now. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you being here. I hope to catch you on my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.
Can pull me from the dark.